today with Frank James Bailey, the creator of Tercona. How you doing? How you doing, Frank?
Doing pretty good. Got all 3 comics there. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna show. There's number 1.
Yep, that's Who's the Abaemont. Number 2 is The Secret.
Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the review when it comes out.
Yeah, be awesome. Yeah, gonna do a review of them. All right.
Yep.
Okay, so, awesome.
Tell us what was the inspiration behind Tercona.
I tell everybody basically the same story, which is a very interesting and curious story. When my daughter was 7, now she's 13 now, going on 14, so it's been a while. But when she was 7, she said, "Daddy, I don't like princesses anymore. I like superheroes." So that's where the seed of the idea came from. And the Tercona originally started off as 3 illustrated novels. These are books, and here's the 3rd book there too. But these books started off as illustrated novels because they're basically like an illustrated novel. You know, color pictures. You can read it like a book. And in the first book, Tercona's mom is like the evil mom, and you know her. She kind of put away or put in a prison cell her own husband, which would be Tercona's dad. So Tercona went to go save him, go to that cell, get him out of there. Then she got her brother, and then as they were leaving, she, her mother kind of caught her, sort of, and there's a little portal where they was gonna get the ship, okay, and Tercona's mom is like, "You're a princess, act like one." She keeps her crown off and says, "Not anymore." So basically, they leave that planet. They come to Earth, and that's generally where the whole story starts. Is Oh, and one other little trivia, little tidbit of information, a fact for you is that she ages 1 year for every 10 years on Earth. So she looks like a 15-year-old girl, but she's actually 150 years old.
Oh wow!
And so they landed in the early 1990s of the books, and then for like 20 years, her dad, no, don't expose your power. So I know you're powerful. We're kind of holding her back for a while, and then one day in chapter 9 of that first book, she's kind of sick of running. They're in a diner, and the diner's getting robbed. Well, somebody's pointing a gun at her brother and her dad. She does something about it. Finally, she becomes the superhero, Tercona. But at that time, she wore a cape, and when she wore the cape got caught on the nail. She's okay, no more capes. So remember, if you remember seeing the movie Big Hero 6, how Baymax was green at first, and then he turned red later on because they gave him an upgrade. Kind of like that. It's like, well, the first time she went out, she had this totally different suit on, and she had this cape, and she got kicked out. Okay, if I do this again, I'm not going to use a cape. So she never used a cape, and she changed her whole suit, and that generally is what her suit is now, what you see on the comic covers. So that's how it all started off in those 3 novels. And then in 2019, I kind of moved to comics and kind of been better ever since, because the books are like $20, but the comics are only $5. I found that a lot of people will be willing to, okay, I'll take a chance on a $5 comic. And then, yeah, that works out really well. But if you want to, I didn't want to start all over. I wanted to, just start from where I was at. So when I pitch it at a Comic-Con, even though we all haven't been to Comic-Cons lately.
Right.
But when I pitch it, I always say, hey, it's the same world, same characters, new storyline with a new format. Well, one from novels to comics. Same thing, just new storyline and a new format. That's all.
All right, yeah, because that was going to be my next question. Was each individual issue like a chapter out of the book, or?
Yeah, no, the books are their own individual stories. And they kind of go through a little progression here and there. I think it starts off in the first book. Well, in the first book, she's obviously in the early 1990s, and then she had, by the time chapter 10 rolls around, she's in high school. And it's like, August, September, that kind of thing. I think by chapter 2, so the second book, it's still like September, October, something like that. And of course, by the time you get to the first book, in the first comic book, and you see they're talking about, hey, well, it's October. So it's a progression, slow progression as they're going, and they're slowly going to grow up, and that's what I want, because I want to have a slow progression, but also a serialized storyline. I want to keep going. Now, the only small little difference is you'll notice with the comics that you have there, comic 1 and comic 3 are tied together. Comic 2 is not. But again, it's still the same characters. It's just a little, little side story sort of. You get to know a little bit more about Britain. But that's the whole idea, is to keep the story going throughout the whole thing. So,
how many issues do you have planned with Tercona?
That's okay. That's okay. Issues I have. Let's see. I remember reading the Flash comics in the 90s, and I have a whole box in the other room over there, big comic box, And I remember 1 through 100. I had a lot of them, and I noticed there were different story arcs, but the numbers kept going. Right. So that's my intention. That's the plan now. Of course, the plan might change later. I don't know, but that right now, that's the plan. That's why they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to keep the numbers going, but the Thea Beaumont storylines will probably end around, I don't know, I think 8 or 10 comics. But of course, after that storyline ends, we'll go to another storyline with number 11, 12, 13, 14. The numbers will keep going, but the storyline will eventually end.
Okay. Are you going to take each story arc and make it a collective?
Yeah, that's the idea. It's okay. And again, this is another interesting point. Comic number 2 that you have there, isn't part of the Thea Beaumont storyline. So the idea is to, let's say if I want to make a graphic novel of the Thea Beaumont storyline, it'll be comic 1, 3, 4, 5, so I can skip number 2. So let's say if you have number 2 right there, it'd be like a collector's item. It's not part. When I eventually stop printing off these comics because, I'm moving on to something else, number 2 will be kind of a collective because after all, it's not part of the Thea Beaumont storyline.
All right. Did you kickstart your comics or did you use?
Well, I didn't kickstart the comic when I first started because I had novels and I thought I just wanted to try and see how, and of course my artist gives me a pretty good deal on it. So the first comic, as you know, was only 24 pages. So it's not really big.
Right.
I did try to use Kickstarter back in April. You can weigh the reasons it didn't be very successful. One could be, hey, we were in the middle of a pandemic, everybody locked down, nobody had any money, or maybe not a whole lot of people knew about it. I don't know. So I'm thinking of starting another Kickstarter again. I mean, I haven't really decided yet. Of course, it's kind of discouraging when you have one and it doesn't work too well. So, Okay, do I try Indiegogo next? Do I try something else next? Do I try Kickstarter again? I mean, I'm kind of weighing the options. But yeah, I did try Kickstarter. I was going to try it for comic number 3, and I had all these special covers for comics 1, 2, and 3, which you can find on Tercona.com. There's also prints or posters, if you want to call them posters. There's prints and posters on Tercona.com that people can order. The one print is really cool. It's like it's almost like Tercona changing from her alter ego to Tercona. It's like half and half, and the lightning's kind of going all through her whole body. So that's a pretty cool picture. And my artist Ujabel, he made that one. He also signed that one too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you can actually get those on, like I said, Tercona.com. But the first 3 comics have a special cover to them, a totally different alternate cover, or variant cover as they call in the business. And those are $10 as opposed to the regular cover being only $5. So, but I tried to use all that with a Kickstarter and it didn't really work out too well. So again, it could have been April because nobody was working. I don't know. So I'll try it again some other time though.
All right. And who was your inspiration? Did you have any inspiration for these books?
Well, like I said, my daughter is a very good inspiration, but I had an editor for some of the books. But as for the comics, it hit me back in like 2000. I was writing screenplays. I love writing screenplays, and then after a while, I realized, a comic is kind of like writing a screenplay. So it became really easy for me because I wrote several screenplays in the early 2000s, never sold anything. But I have several screenplays from the early 2000s that I would love to try and sell to Hollywood or something somewhere down the road and see what happens there. But yeah, these are kind of, I wouldn't say meant for kids, but for all ages, And I like the comic format. So comic book format, to me, it's more visual. My daughter really loves the format. And even though she's into My Hero Academia right now, she's still kind of an influence on Tercona, because even though she watches My Hero Academia, I've watched it with her, and I noticed in My Hero Academia there's a lot more mature content in there. You know, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I can, kind of take some inspiration from that and kind of see where, even though that's kind of meant for like 14 and over, and I don't want my characters to swear that much or ever, because after all, it's kind of meant for all ages.
Right.
But I do want them to be mature enough to know, oh, this is good. This is content. This is like Avatar: The Last Airbender, one of my favorite shows. And that was a good, mature cartoon. Most people who I know love that cartoon. And I'd love to turn Tercona into a cartoon someday. Somewhere down the road, but of course, it's a matter of getting it popular. So.
And as she matures, does her powers change, or does she get more control of her powers?
Well,
or does she already have control?
The idea behind her powers, in case I haven't talked about this yet, was her powers come out as lightning bolts from her 3 fingers, but she can make constructs, kind of like Green Lantern or something.
Okay.
But the thing I did was I put rules or limits on them. The bigger the construct, the faster it disappears. If she makes a big house, it'll disappear in like a second or two. If she makes little boulders or a little remote, it might stay for a lot longer. So that's one of the limits. The other is that she can't make water or air. So basically, she can be more. The whole idea behind her powers is she can get more creative with powers. Like maybe she can make some kind of stun gun. Because in the first book, somebody's trying to shoot at her. She makes a shield and she blocks it, and she goes through it. That's not the first comic, the first book. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. And she does. So Tercona doesn't like guns. So to her to make like a different kind of weapon, like maybe a staff or something, I think in some of the books I have her, makes a chain and wraps around people because that's how she ties somebody up. And then one time, I think in the second book, somebody was being a jewelry store was being robbed, so she was being shot at. So she made this huge magnet, and of course she wrapped somebody else in chains, and the chains kind of went back to the magnet. Okay, don't do the magnet thing. So then she made a rope to wrap people up. So she can make constructs, but it's a matter of her learning how to, make more creative constructs. I think in the first comic you probably saw where she was falling on her surfboard and she tried to make like a hook or something to try and keep her from falling, but it missed. That's in the first comic book there.
Let me see if I can show them the page real quick.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them about what we was talking about off the record, or do you want to keep that a secret?
About what, Brittany or something?
Yeah.
Well, no, that's just a script that I wrote last night, and I'm actually going to continue and make that eventually. But it's not. Okay. It's like something I'm working on, but I haven't really made yet. But I will say this: that the numbers will continue on with the comics, and I am working on comic number 4. It's about a little more than halfway done. Yeah, that's in comic number 1 right there. She makes constructs. Well, she was trying to make a chain to keep herself from falling, and it didn't hook on anything, and she kind of fell down.
Right. Yeah. Is her friend Brittany going to get powers later down the road?
My idea is for her not to have powers, because yes, Tercona is the one with powers, but I want her friend to not have powers, because I sort of was inspired by Kim Possible for Brittany.
Okay.
Because the story behind Brittany is she used to be a cheerleader, very flexible, she knows karate and that kind of stuff, but she's kind of like half Hispanic. Her mom's from Ohio and her dad's from somewhere else, so she's half Hispanic, and she speaks some Spanish and that kind of stuff. But she's very flexible and she knows karate, and she's good backup for the superhero who actually has powers. So that's the whole idea behind it. They work well together as a superhero team,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Are you going to translate the comic over into Spanish? That would be cool.
That would be cool. I don't know any Spanish yet, but that's a good idea. I think I'm gonna put that put a pin on that and put good idea. I never thought about that until you said that. It's a good idea.
Yeah, and where can they pick the comic books up? All 3.
Well, right now they can pick it up. The comics they can pick up on Tercona.com. That's really the only place I'm selling them right now. Or there's a couple of comic book stores There's one in Ohio selling them. No, I'm sorry. I've only sold one to a place in Ohio because they saw them at a Comic-Con. I forget the place in Florida, but there's a mutual friend that we know from one of these Facebook groups. Mm-hmm. They bought my comics in Florida, so I get, they have it down there. But mostly you can pick it up on Tercona.com. That's where I sell the comics. Now, for the actual books, which are these here, you can pick these up on Tercona.com, but you can also pick them up on Amazon.com because these are books, like novels. So
okay, you
can pick these up on Amazon.com. But I will tell you, they'll be a little more expensive on Amazon.com. Because that's the way they work. You buy them from me, they're $20. You buy them from Amazon, they're like 23. So yeah.
All right. Let's see. And you was in radio, correct?
Yeah. I was in radio from 1989 to 2009. I worked in Cleveland, Akron, Canton, Youngstown, Toledo. Where else? I think it was Salina for a little while. But yeah, I worked in mostly Ohio radio stations. And a lot of people tell me, "Oh, you have a good radio voice." I was like, "What?" Because it was radio. And that's I do that. I do a lot of voiceover stuff on the internet. Like I was doing voiceovers, and I haven't done them for a little while because they changed the channel a little bit. I mean, they made their content a little different. When I was working for like a year and a half, almost 2 years, I did some videos for a channel called Channel Frederator on YouTube. Channel Frederator had the videos that I voiced, which was Disney's Dark Secrets, like Disney's Dark Secrets about The Little Mermaid, Disney's Dark Secrets about Pocahontas, that kind of stuff, like the real story behind them. Plus, I did Then versus Now, My Little Pony. Also did 107 Facts about Pinky the Brain. So, and I'm sure if you go to YouTube, you can actually put in the words Frank James Bailey. You can probably find the videos that I've voiced. I've voiced commercials, internet videos, that kind of stuff. So I have a professional studio in the other room. I have one here too. So yeah, I've done a lot of voiceover stuff, and I try to do mostly internet videos, like a top 10 thing. Plus, I have my own channel where I do cartoon reviews, that kind of stuff. But I like cartoons. I like animation stuff, and I'm going to get back to doing more cartoon reviews. I just haven't done any lately because I've been working on the website and other things. Plus, I, as you know, I've been writing a lot too. So.
Right. Wow. You've got a lot of mini hats there.
Yeah. Now, I cannot fix a car.
Right.
I can't fix a car, but I can go on and tell you about Tercona.
Right. Are you currently reading any indie comics or any comics at all?
I have not read any indie comics. However, I'm very curious and very interested kind of doing what you're doing. Like, what if somebody were to send me like a PDF of a comic? Because I know how to edit video pretty well, okay? Mm-hmm. I was thinking, well, if somebody sent me a PDF, I could do a small review of like their comic and kind of, oh, hey, I like this, maybe do a little interview with them and that kind of stuff. Of course, my wife thinks, yeah, you're trying to plug your stuff, but you're also plugging somebody else's on your channel. It's like, oh, okay, I see the point.
Yeah.
I guess, I haven't really read a whole lot of other indie comics. Now, if somebody sent me their stuff, I would more than likely love to read it. So,
Have you thought about doing like a read video of Tercona?
Well, ironically, I did do a read video of chapter 9 of this. So if you go to my YouTube channel, it'll say book 1, chapter 9. And I actually put the pictures. It's my voice. There's sound effects. It's like 10 minutes long. It's almost very dramatic. And you actually see everything with the pictures. And I put this whole video together. Same thing with the other books too. I took one chapter of each of those books and kind of did something with them. Now, I haven't done it with the comics yet. I'm thinking of it. Of course, it's a little easier for me just to read what's in the page of the book. With the comic, it's like you have to have the two characters talking. So right. I'll need two female characters. If I'm the one talking, it's kind of, But yeah, that's a great idea. I really need to do that with the comic as well. So if they want to read a little bit of the first or see it, they can go to my YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, Frank James Bailey, be able to find it.
All right, well, thank you so much, Frank, for coming out and talking with us. Is there anything you got to say before we let you go?
Well, yeah, if you want to go to Tercona.com, you can check out the books, the comic books, or the regular books. On Tercona.com, there is also posters or prints that are available as well. There's also special covers of each of the comics. The special covers are $10, and they're very limited. I only had printed like 50 of them, so some of them have been sold already. But yeah, the special covers are on Tercona.com as well. That is Tercona, Tercona.com. You can also find, this is very interesting, on Tercona.com, there is a section I call fan art. I have I'm humbled by this, but there are people out there drawing Tercona as fan art because they love the way the character looks. So nice. I thought it was pretty cool. So I sort of feature fan art on Tuesdays in my Tercona Fan Club Facebook group. So I have a Facebook group called the Tercona Fan Club. Please join the group, check it out. There are people on there reacting. Now, I do have a Facebook like page as well, but there's more interaction in the group. People post their own. Matter of fact, there's a kid named, I think, Cody or Connor. He actually plays video games, and he made a character in his video game, Tercona. So the Tercona is fighting somebody. I was like, okay, we got to get this new video game.
Right? That's cool.
So, yeah, plus you can find me on social media as well. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter. I'm also on LinkedIn if people want to find me there, but don't go to LinkedIn too often. I'm also on Tumblr, too. Again, don't go to Tumblr. I mainly use Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Those are my three main things. All right. And I'm very, very easy to find. Just put Frank James Bailey.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Frank.
No problem.